Hull House was a settlement house in Chicago, Illinois, United States that was co-founded in 1889 by Jane Addams and Ellen Gates Starr. Located on the near west side of the city, Hull House, named after the original house's first owner Charles Gerald Hull, opened to serve recently arrived European immigrants. By 1911, Hull House had expanded to 13 buildings. In 1912 the Hull House complex was completed with the addition of a summer camp, the Bowen Country Club. With its innovative social, educational, and artistic programs, Hull House became the standard bearer for the movement that had grown nationally, by 1920, to almost 500 settlement houses. Addams noted upon moving in that the building had a half-skeptical reputation for a haunted attic. Over the years, numerous stories of ghosts and hauntings have surrounded Hull House, making it a stop on many of the Ghosts in Chicago tours. Charles Hull's wife had died in the house in 1860, and is sometimes thought to haunt it. Other candidates for resident ghosts include the many people who died there of natural causes in the 1870s when it was used as a home for the aged by the Little Sisters of the Poor. In 1913, another Hull House ghost story began circulating. According to this legend, after a man claimed that he would rather have the devil in his house than a picture of the Virgin Mary, his child was born with pointed ears, horns, scale-covered skin, and a tail. The mother was said to have taken the baby to Hull House, where Addams was said to have attempted to have it baptized and wound up locking it in the attic. While initially annoyed about the story, which had no basis in fact, Addams became fascinated by the effect the episode had on old women in the neighborhood and used the episode as a basis for her book The Long Road of Woman's Memory. While a great many erroneous stories have circulated about the building, Addams is known to have spoken to several friends about one of the front bedrooms on the second floor being haunted. She and a friend once thought they saw a woman in white ghost there, and the same ghost was later seen by a group of girls when the room was used as a dressing room for the adjacent theater. Though Addams called it haunted, she seems to have been more amused than frightened by it. The Myrtles Plantation is a historic home and former antebellum plantation in St. Francisville, Louisiana, United States, built in 1796 by General David Bradford. Touted as one of America's most haunted homes, the plantation is supposedly home to at least 12 ghosts. It is often reported that 10 murders occurred in the house, but historical records only indicate the murder of William Winter. In 2001, Unsolved Mysteries filmed a segment about the alleged hauntings at the plantation. According to host Robert Stack, the production crew experienced technical difficulties during the production of the segment. The Myrtles was also featured on a 2005 episode of Ghost Hunters. Possibly the most well-known of the Myrtles' supposed ghosts, Chloe, or Chloe, was reportedly a slave owned by Clark and Sarah Woodruff. According to one story, Clark Woodruff had pressured or forced Chloe into being his mistress. Other versions of the legend have Chloe listening in at keyholes to learn news of Clark Woodruff's business dealings or for other purposes. After being caught, either by Clark or Sarah Woodruff, one of her ears was cut off, and she wore a green turban to hide it. Chloe supposedly baked a cake for one of the two daughters containing extract of boiled and reduced oleander leaves, which are extremely poisonous. The reason she did what she did was to get work back inside the house. A maid who was getting the favor of the mistress was a suspect, with some saying she was getting revenge on the Woodruffs and some saying she was attempting to redeem her position by curing the family of the poisoning. According to the legends, her plan backfired. Only Sarah and her two daughters ate the cake, and all died from the poison. Chloe was then supposedly hanged by the other slaves, and thrown into the Mississippi River, either as punishment or to escape punishment by Clark Woodruff for harboring her. The historical record does not support this legend. There is no record of the Woodruffs owning a slave named Chloe or Chloe, or any slaves. The legends usually claim that Sarah and her two daughters were poisoned, but Mary Octavia survived well into adulthood. Finally, Sarah, James, and Cornelia Woodruff were not killed by poisoning, but instead succumbed to yellow fever. Regardless of the factual accuracy of the Chloe story, Some believe a woman wearing a green turban haunts the plantation. Yamantau is a mountain in the Ural Mountains, located in Belorutsky district, Bashkortostan, Russia. Standing at 1,640 meters, 5,381 feet, it is the highest mountain in the southern Ural section, and is featured within the South Ural Nature Reserve. Yamantau is notable as the subject of claims by the United States that a secret extensive bunker complex of the Russian government or Russian armed forces is contained within the mountain, similar to the Cheyenne Mountain complex. Yamantau, along with Koavinsky Mountain, 600 kilometers to the north, are claimed by the United States of being home to a large secret nuclear facility or bunker, or both. Large excavation projects have been observed by U.S. satellite imagery after the fall of the Soviet Union, as recently as the late 1990s during the government of Boris Yeltsin. During the Soviet era, two military garrisons, Belorutsk 15 and Belorutsk 16, and possibly a third, Alkino 2, were built on the site. These garrisons were unified into the closed town of Mezgorai in 1995, and the garrisons are said to house 30,000 workers each, served by large rail lines. Repeated U.S. questions have yielded several different responses from the Russian government regarding Yamantau, including it is a mining site, a repository for Russian treasures, a food storage area, and a bunker for leaders in case of nuclear war. Responding to questions regarding Yamantau in 1996, Russia's defense ministry stated, "The practice does not exist in the Defense Ministry of Russia of informing foreign mass media about facilities, whatever they are, that are under construction in the interests of strengthening the security of Russia." In 1997, a United States congressional finding, related to the country's National Defense Authorization Act for 1998, stated that the Russian Federation kept up a deception and denial policy about the mountain complex after U.S. officials had given Cheyenne Mountain Complex tours to Russian diplomats, which the findings stated, does not appear to be consistent with the lowering of strategic threats, openness, and cooperation that is the basis of the post-Cold War strategic partnership between the United States and Russia. The Brennender Berg, Burning Mountain, is a natural monument located in a deep and narrow gorge between Dudweiler and Sulzbach in Saarland, Germany. It is a smoldering coal seam fire that ignited in 1668 and continues to burn today. The exact cause of the fire is unknown, but it was probably a case of spontaneous combustion caused by pressure and decomposition as a result of unplanned coal mining. According to legend, a shepherd lit a fire at a tree stump, which propagated down through the roots to the coal seam. An unsuccessful attempt was made to fight the fire with water. It does not burn with an open flame but instead glows. Originally this glow could be seen through cracks in the rock and there was a considerable build-up of smoke. The fire began to weaken by the end of the 18th century. Depending on the weather, smoke is visible and in at least one of the rock crevices an outflow of warm air can be detected. Toba Inlet is one of the lesser, but still principal, inlets of the British Columbia coast. It is fourth in the series north from the 49th parallel, which begins with Burrard Inlet, which is the harbor for the city of Vancouver. Between it and Jervis Inlet to its east, however, there is a freshwater fjord, Powell Lake, which has been augmented by a small hydro project to supply power to the large pulp mill at Powell River, the principal town of the Malaspina Peninsula of the Upper Sunshine Coast. Clahus 1 Reserve, of the Clahus First Nation, is at the mouth of Toba River at the head of Toba Inlet. Toba Inlet and the Toba Valley is home to many grizzly bears. The first non-indigenous exploration of Toba Inlet occurred in 1792 when British and Spanish expeditions arrived in the area simultaneously. There was cooperation between the British under George Vancouver and the Spanish under Dionisio Alcala Galiano. From a base of operation in Desolation Sound, boats were sent out to explore the region. On June 25, 1792, Vancouver proposed sending out 3 parties in boats. The Spanish offered to take on one of the 3, this being the investigation of Toba Inlet. Caetano Valdez left with a boat party early on June 25, and returned on June 27, having determined that the inlet was closed. He described it as being of great depth, with steep shores and high peaks around. On its east shore Valdez found a plank, tabla in Spanish, covered with paintings, which he described as hieroglyphics of the natives. There were several empty villages. The Spanish encountered no inhabitants. Valdez named the inlet after the plank he found, Canal de la Tabla. The British examined the inlet just after Valdez, confirming for themselves the Spanish report. Vancouver kept the Spanish name, which a Spanish map engraver's mistake had changed to its present form of Toba Inlet. Toba Inlet's Coast Salish name is Yequaman. Moonville is a ghost town in southeastern Brown Township, Vinton County, Ohio, United States. Little remains of this former mining community except a few foundations, a cemetery, and an abandoned railroad tunnel which is the subject of numerous ghost stories. The legends of the Moonville Tunnel include several tales of ghosts that allegedly still haunt visitors to this day. The legends include 4 different ghosts: the engineer, the brakeman, the lavender lady, and the bully. The engineer. The ghost of Theodore Lawhead, an engineer for the Marietta and Cincinnati Railroad Company, began to haunt the tracks after his train collided head-on with an oncoming train in the 1880s. Visitors have seen a ghostly figure holding a lantern while walking alongside the track and through the tunnel. The brakeman. The brakeman is believed to be the ghost of a drunken young man who was working on a train as a brakeman. The young man had consumed too much liquor one night and fell to sleep on the tracks. The lavender lady. Visitors of the Moonville Tunnel have seen thin, elderly women walking alongside the trail. Shortly after, she disappears and the scent of lavender fills the air. It is believed to be Mary Shea, who was killed on the tracks at the far end of the tunnel. The bully. The bully is believed to be the ghost of Baldy Keaton. Baldy Keaton was a resident of Moonville. The legend says that Baldy was a man that liked to fight when he got drunk. The legend also says that one of Baldy's tactics were to bear hug his opponent. When Baldy was at the saloon he decided to fight, and a group of men kicked Baldy out. Later, he was found dead on the tracks. Many believe it was murder. The legend now says that the ghost of Baldy Keaton stands above the tunnel and stares at the approaching visitors. He will sometimes throw pebbles. The legend of the bully was also told by young mothers to their children, and the mothers also used to tell their children to not stay out at night or else the bully would get them. Stull is an unincorporated community in Douglas County, Kansas, United States. Founded in 1857, the settlement was initially known as Deer Creek until it was renamed after its only postmaster, Sylvester Stull. As of 2018, only a handful of structures remain in the area. Since the 1970s, the town has become infamous due to an apocryphal legend that claims the nearby Stull Cemetery is possessed by demonic forces. This legend has become a facet of American popular culture and has been referenced in numerous forms of media. This legend has also led to controversies with current residents of Stull. The Stull Cemetery has gained an ominous reputation due to urban legends involving Satan, the occult, and a purported gateway to hell. The rumors about the cemetery were popularized by a November 1974 issue of the University Daily Kansan, the student newspaper of the University of Kansas, which claimed that the devil appeared in Stull twice a year, once on Halloween, and once on the spring equinox. People soon said that the cemetery was the location of one of the 7 gates to hell and that the nearby Evangelical Emmanuel Church ruin was possessed by the devil. Others claimed, erroneously, that the legend was engendered by the killing of Stull's mayor back in the 1850s. Of note, Stull was never organized as a town, so never had a mayor. It is also said that during a trip to Colorado in the 1990s, the Pope redirected the flight path of his private plane to avoid flying over the unholy ground of Stull, although there is no evidence that this happened. Most academics, historians, and local residents are in agreement that the legend has no basis in historical fact and was created and spread by students. In the years that followed the publication of the University Daily Kansan article, the legend persuaded thrill seekers to visit the cemetery, and they would claim that weird and creepy events such as noises and memory lapses happened to them, leading to further speculation that the town was haunted by witches and the devil. It became a popular activity for young folks, especially high school and college students from Lawrence or Topeka, to journey to the cemetery on Halloween or the equinox to see the devil. Many would jump fences or otherwise sneak their way onto the property. Over the decades, as the number of people making excursions to the cemetery grew, the graveyard started to deteriorate. This was exacerbated by vandals. To combat this, the county's sheriff office patrols the area around the cemetery, especially on Halloween, and will arrest people for trespassing. Those caught inside the cemetery after it is closed could face a maximum fine of $1,000 and up to 6 months in jail. The Bridgewater Triangle is an area of about 200 square miles within southeastern Massachusetts in the United States, claimed to be a site of alleged paranormal phenomena, ranging from UFOs to poltergeists, orbs, balls of fire and other spectral phenomena, various Bigfoot-like sightings, giant snakes and thunderbirds. The term was coined by New England-based cryptozoologist Loren Coleman. Historic places and landmarks. Hockomock Swamp. Central to the area is Hockomock Swamp, which means the place where spirits dwell. English colonizers called it Devil's Swamp. Alleged sightings reported here include various flying creatures and ghosts. Freetown Fall River State Forest. The Freetown Fall River State Forest has reportedly been the site of various cult activity including animal sacrifice, ritualistic murders committed by admitted Satanists, as well as a number of gangland murders and a number of suicides. Profile Rock. The supposed site of where Wampanoag historical figure Anawan received the lost wampum belt from Philip. Legend has it the ghost of a man can be seen sitting on the rock with his legs crossed or with outstretched arms. Located within the Freetown Fall River State Forest. Solitude Stone, an inscribed stone located near Forest Street in West Bridgewater which was found near a missing person's body. Also known as Suicide Stone, the rock was found with the inscription, All ye, who in future days, walk by Nuncateset stream love not him who hummed his lay cheerful to the parting beam, but the beauty that he wooed. Bridgewater State University. Several buildings and rooms on campus are alleged to be haunted by ghosts and other paranormal phenomena. Taunton State Hospital. Some visitors have claimed that they had strange paranormal experiences in the hospital, including being touched and pulled in certain areas of the hospital. It is also claimed that the hospital was used by satanic cults during the 1960s and 70s. Hornbein School. The one-room schoolhouse was built during the 1840s and remained in active use until 1937. The building is alleged to be haunted by its former inhabitants. Paranormal claims. Common to most of these areas is a mix of reported phenomena, that includes reports of unidentified flying objects, often in the form of bright balls of light or large, unusual spacecraft. Unnatural animal sightings, ranging from unusual reports of animals that are not found within the area, such as panthers and bears, to more supernatural claims of giant snakes and enormous vicious dogs. Paranormal humanoids, including sightings of Bigfoot, ghosts, poltergeists, and shadow people. Thunderbird sightings. Giant birds or pterodactyl-like flying creature with wingspans up to 12 feet are claimed to have been seen in Hockomock Swamp and neighboring Taunton and Easton, including a report by Norton Police Sergeant Thomas Downey. Cult activity, especially animal mutilations. Various incidents of animal mutilation have been reported, particularly in Freetown and Fall River, where local police were called to investigate mutilated animals believed to be the work of a cult. 2 specific incidents in 1998 were reported, one in which a single adult cow was found butchered in the woods, the other in which a group of calves were discovered in a clearing, grotesquely mutilated as if part of a ritual sacrifice. Native American curses. According to one tale, Native Americans had cursed the swamp centuries ago because of conflict with colonial settlers. A revered object of the Wampanoag people, a belt known as the Wampum Belt, was lost during King Philip's War. Legend says that the area owes its paranormal unrest to the fact that this belt was lost from the native people. Pukwudgie, a creature from Algonquian folklore. The local Wampanoag people consider them to be dangerous tricksters. They have been especially associated with the Freetown State Forest within the Bridgewater Triangle.